good morning, good people, and a beautiful evening or morning wherever it is that you might be in the world. Welcome to another episode of Safari Live, all the way down in the southeast of South Africa in Juma, private nature reserve in the Sabi Sands, Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined on camera by David, and we're out in the African wilderness. It is a beautiful morning. There is dew on the grass. The leaves are moist and glistening. We are looking for tracks. We're going to head through towards the northeast where the Buffelshoek Dam, where the Nkuhumas were last night. Taylor reckons they probably have moved off, but let's go see if there's some tracks. Maybe they've come further in. Maybe that buffalo was not enough for them and they're going to have hunted again. Who knows what could happen? Please send through your questions. Hashtag Safari Live. Follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you'd like to see. I had the afternoon off. I'm excited. It is going to be a glorious morning here in the African wilderness, and I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. Isn't that a beautiful start to the day? Faith said to me, Steve, I'm going to start with you. And I said, okay, let's show the beautiful people out there the sky. And it is slowly changing. We are going to be changing our times as of tomorrow, so please pay attention to the posts that come up. There's just going to be a little bit of a half an hour either way. It's not going to be too much of a train smash, but it's to change, to catch up with how we're getting darker as it goes to winter, and the afternoons are getting darker earlier, so the show is having a slight change, but just keep up to date with that. The posts will be sent out there to make sure that you don't miss any of the action. Sharon, you love how I say Juma, because Juma, for those of you who are not sure, is the roar of the lion. Can you hear it? Juma. Dave's laughing at me. I think he thinks I've had my happy pills this morning, but I have. It is a marvelous day. Laugh at me as you will, folks. I am in a fantastic mood, and we are going to go out here and find you some wonderful things. If there's anything that particular you'd like to talk about or discuss, please feel free to include me in your hashtag, or if there's any other further questions that I can do later. But please be interactive. We are live from South Africa. It is a beautiful morning. Faith will tell me the temperature soon, but I've got one layer on. There's a moistness in the air which is really, really nice, and it bodes to be quite a warm afternoon. 19 degrees Celsius and 67 Fahrenheit. But it is going to be getting up to, as I believe our producer Jerry told us, 39 degrees today. So those of us who want to run, Dave probably himself, and Steph is in camp, probably need to run before 11 o'clock because it's going to get very hot. Okay, so we've also got Taylor McCurdy and Scott out this morning. So let's go over to Taylor to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And we are driving around, as you can see, looking for footprints that the animals have left since last night. So that's going to be our main plan this morning, is to try and find some new cats. So Steve's heading to the lions, as you know. I don't think they're going to be in the same spot, though. They didn't have very full bellies. So I think that they actually would have been on the move last night. So I'm actually approaching Guru Gates at the moment, which is the most northern gate in the Sabi Sands. We're heading there. And it's quite a nice point because it's a crossing point for a lot of animals. For buffalo, big herds of buffalo often use this section to cross. And then the lions, wild dogs, leopards, all crossing around here. So I thought we get out a bit earlier and have a quick scan around. Also, of course, checking from left to right. The trees and things like that underneath the shrubs to see if we can find anything else. And then we're back in the area where we had the last of the wild dog tracks yesterday too. And funny enough, I just bumped into Rexon, and Rexon said to me that apparently those wild dogs have been mating. They were mating on, so they definitely could still be around on the property, which would make sense why they weren't out and about, just off the road, off the beaten track. Check here. The lion. Ooh. Puma, sure. That's a tricky request. What is on the road, Seb, or am I imagining things? Do you see it as a part of the road? No, man. That is something. Is it? It's a leopard. Or is it? No, it's not. It's a branch. Is it a branch?
It is a branch.
Wait. Please have a look at this. So, obviously, well, from a distance, we saw the figure, but it's quite tall. It's kind of at the right height that... Look at that, from here. So that's kind of the right height if a leopard or a lion was sitting on its haunches. And the light is really terrible at the moment. It's the most tricky time of the day. And not only is it tricky for you and I, but also for the herbivores that don't have, well, the greatest eyesight at night, like the predators do. How funny was that? I thought it was a leopard. I thought, no ways. No ways. Of course it wasn't. So sorry, Puma. I got horribly distracted, but could you blame me? You said that we must search for the ghost of Juma, which is the caracal. I don't think we're going to see a caracal. I don't sadly think we're going to see a caracal. The reason why I say this is because I've only seen one and it was such a quick view. It was also on Cheetah Plains, which has got a lot more of a sort of grassy habitat, which caracal love. Although caracal are able to adapt, so are serval, and they can pretty much shoot their surroundings. It's amazing how they're able to adapt like that. But I think a caracal is a hard bet. I mean, we're always keeping out for the smaller things, so as I'm scanning with my spotlight, that's definitely one of the things. I mean, I'm always hoping that I'm going to see an aardwolf or a aardvark or a pangolin, all these wonderful creatures. But, you know, most of the time we don't, very sadly. So we will try. But our time is running out. They like this time of the day, in fact. This is a great time to see serval, genets, caracal, aardvark, aardwolf, you name it, this time of the day. Just checking very carefully here. Patrick, you're wondering if I've ever been charged by a branch leopard? No, but I've been swiped at by one many times, always getting me in the face. Sadly, I don't have any of the big scars to prove it. The only scar I really have is from when I was 3 and I fell off my tricycle, or 3 or 4 or something, and then I hit my head, and I have a big scar on my above my eyebrow. Who we got here? Oh, hyenas. Not actual hyenas, just their feet prints. Feet prints. What else have we got? What's happening here? It's hard to show you because my spotlight doesn't quite go down. Lots of hyenas running around here. I actually heard the whooping of hyenas this morning. Quite a bit, in fact. I'm just checking properly to make sure. I'm not going to get out the car, everybody. I'm lazy this morning. Also, there's no need to get out because we see hyena tracks all the time. But there they are. Again, it's hard to show you. There's one just dropped down to the right. I mean left, sorry. There. Yeah, there they are. In the sand, quite fresh. No one's driven over them just yet. I'm about to, however. And they're running in that direction. They're going up Triple M, which is one of the boundary roads. Right. Very nice. Not wild dog tracks. All hyena. Right, so tracking and driving seems to be the theme today. DNTs, that's what we'll be calling them. We have DNCs, which are drive and chats, which I love to do. And then we have D and T's, as well as drive and tracking. So let's go and see how Steve feels about this morning.
Tracks. Thanks, Taylor. We haven't found any tracks as of yet, but it has been quite dark. It's important to drive quite slowly. We're driving past these little mud wallows that the buffalo on their trips into Juma have been thoroughly enjoying. And these are sort of places of interest, as you know, around the reserve that animals often will frequent. Not just for, well, we struggle to drink out of there, but often we find our leopards drinking out of these little mud wallows, as disgusting as they are with regards to animals and their ticks and mud. But slowly we are heading, maybe I can show you quickly on the map, so that we have an idea of where we are in this wonderful place. We are at the moment in the heart of Juma. We've just passed Chelapan, which is over here. And we're on Twin Dams Road. We've come from the south this way. Not south, we've come south from there. Twin Dams, we're going to go through the Spaghetti Junction here all the way up either Nyala Road or Vulture's Nest towards the dam to see if there's any tracks. Obviously, depending on if we find tracks along this road, we'll change our route. But that's where they were seen. They were seen up by Buffelshoek Dam last night. And whether they are still there or not is, we will see. I love the adventure. Davey is quite excited for us to be finding lions. Oh yeah, he says. And if they have moved off, well, then we'll see if we can track them. Hopefully they haven't gone north or east out of the property, and maybe they've just run around a bit, and maybe they've caught something else. Who knows what can happen out here in this wonderful and unpredictable African wilderness. Hello Dan, good morning. Love to show you baby elephant. There are a couple of... We are just having to stop quickly because there's a bit of a signal breakup as we come down in. So Dan, I would love to show you baby elephant. There are a couple breeding herds around at the moment with some fresh new babies, but their movements could be absolutely anywhere. But Buffelshoek Dam is a good place to check, and carry on, and I'll make sure I'll put in a lot of effort to find you some elephant.
About that technical gremlins or the repeaters hadn't quite woken up just yet. Perhaps they got up a little bit on the late side. We're still checking the boundary as we said we were going to do. So we're still on Triple M, and I'm very happy that the light is getting better because sure, it's hard to track when it's dark. We miss tracks all the time, and then it kind of ruins the point of doing a boundary patrol, which is why I was concentrating so hard on the road, making sure that anything that remotely resembled a paw print in the sand I would check. I did see some buffalo footprints earlier. That was quite nice and very interesting. Brakes. Walked here. Let's see. False alarm. Hyena. Bye. Lots of hyena tracks going into Arathusa and Simambili. Lots and lots and lots of them. Now, Janine, here's a question that I get asked often, in fact, and it's, have I ever been lost in the bush? Yes, of course I have. I haven't been lost for quite some time, though. I mean, the Mara was pretty easy to navigate, even though I didn't necessarily know where I was going. I knew where the river was, I knew where the escarpment was at all times, and then, of course, you can use the sun, and the moon and stars and all sorts of other wonderful things to navigate. So you always had those helping hands. The only time the Mara was a bit disorientating was at night. Like it is most of the time, in fact, in the bush. This is a very bumpy road. It's so unpleasant to drive on. And what else? And then I was lost when I first started guiding. I think I've told that story so many times about how I had to get someone to basically come and fetch me because I didn't know where I was. But other than that, you get used to it, hey? The more different properties you guide on, the easier it becomes. The quicker you sort of learn to adapt quicker and familiarize yourself with your surroundings. You start to use big trees or termite mounds and other types of landmarks to help you out. And it sort of becomes second instinct. Like, you just pick it up straight away and you kind of know what exactly is going on. So I'm going to keep focusing here and hopefully going to try and avoid the bumps. Scott's out on bushwalk, and I know that he's itching to get on some leopard or lion tracks and start finding those cats.
Well, surprise, surprise, as you can see, we are not on bushwalk. We're having some trouble with that setup, so we've hopped into a vehicle, and to be honest, that's absolutely perfect. There's benefits to both, and the benefits of being in the vehicle is that we can move around more swiftly and hopefully find tracks sooner than we would if we were walking around. So exciting little last minute change there for us, and I'm teamed up with Senzo on camera this morning, and our plans are to continue working the kind of western sections of Juma. I've been investing quite a lot of time there in the hope that the Shidulu female leopard pokes her head out again. It's a leopard that we haven't seen very much, and not only her, it's also the area where we would be likely to find some tracks or signs of the Hukumuri male, who's a relatively new male in the area. And that's our plan for the morning. Hopefully one of those two leopards will pop up, and that's kind of the main focus cat-wise. Of course, any other animals that we bump into along the way, we'll be sure to stop and have a squiz at. It's a beautiful morning. Loving the weather at the moment. This kind of change between summer and winter is a welcome change, because the temperatures are just so much more enjoyable, I find. And not only enjoyable for us, but also enjoyable for the animals, who are more likely to find active during the daylight hours now that it's becoming cooler. Well, Steve Cantrell, you'd like to know if there's any guides that kind of don't like it or find it hard waking up in the early hours of the morning before the sunrise. And yes, there's many guides that kind of battle to wake up in the morning. It's not that they don't like getting up, I think they just have a problem becoming vertical in the morning. And some of the cameramen too enjoy their sleeping, so some guys you need to double check more often than others. When I started my guiding career, Steve, I actually had some major troubles waking up in the morning, mainly because I'm a deep sleeper, so I just sleep through the alarm clocks, and it actually forced me to leave a camp. My lack of waking up abilities, which really actually helped my guiding career, the fact that I was fired from one camp. Well, it actually turned out to be a suspension, because like Taylor was saying earlier, the more camps you work at, the more adaptable you become. And I just finished my 6 months of guide training, officially became a guide, and I hadn't even worked a full 6-week stint, and I'd been fired. Which wasn't ideal at the time, but in retrospect it really helped my career, because I went into another section of the Sabi Sands where I had to re-familiarize myself with that whole area. I got to meet a whole new bunch of guides that weren't in my guiding team or in our area of traverse, even though we were neighbors. So yeah, I'm better now though, Steve. Lavi, you say you need 3 alarms. I use 1 alarm, but I in the form of my phone, but I set often 2 or 3 different alarms, like 5 minutes apart, as a safety net. And I've also chosen some quite loud and also enjoyable melodies to wake me up. I feel that if the sound that is waking you up is of the right tone, it certainly helps the process. So yeah, it was quite a funny story actually when I overslept. I ended up sleeping in one of my friend's room, who was a guy, a man, and he was an established guide, so he actually had a really big room with 2 double beds in it, and I ended up sleeping in one of his beds, which no one really expected me to do. So in the morning when they couldn't find me in my room, what they did was they started searching the girls' rooms, and I didn't have a girlfriend at that stage, so it was just kind of like guesswork. And the guiding team literally filtered through just about every single girl's room in the camp and couldn't find me. They obviously started off with the probables, and that must have been funny for them to be like, I wonder who Scott could have hooked up with. Knock, 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 is Scott here? And they couldn't find me. Eventually they did, and then it was a mad rush to try and get to my guest, but I was seriously late. And I remember flying around the corner in the game view. It was winter, it was dry and dusty, and as I came around the one corner close to the camp, to pick them up at the turning circle. I saw them being driven out by another guide who had obviously been called in as a backup plan. And as I turned the corner, they were coming out, and my dust, because I was driving so quickly, my huge cloud of dust just went whoosh, and just covered their vehicle entirely. It was just like rubbing salt into their wounds. Okay, PT Cantrell, you would like us to look for Janet Jackson this morning. I can do that for you. I'm going to head there right now. I did actually pop past the cavity in a tree where she lives, and there was no sign of her yesterday afternoon, but let's go and see if we don't have any luck this morning. Sorry, PT Watcher, PT Cantrell. Don't know where that came from. Alrighty then. So no tracks or signs just yet, but it's still early days. And once the sun pokes up, it's definitely going to make the tracking a little bit easier. You can see the tracks far more easily once the sun's popped up. Dora, you saying that you're finding out lots of interesting things about me? Yeah, I'm letting you guys in on a few of my kind of, not secrets, but kind of less proud moments from the past. I not only got to work in another wonderful part of the Sabi Sands called the Western Section in the Southern Sabi Sands, but I also actually ended up working for the same company that Steve worked for, called Eco Training. Just for a month, I was a backup rifle, so I was just there kind of as a bodyguard, just to make sure that we followed the kind of industry protocol. When you have more than 4 people on a walk, you should have two rifles, and I was a backup rifle for the Trails Guide training kind of course that Eco Training does up in the Makuleki concession in northern Kruger. I was very fortunate to spend time with an absolute wizard on foot, a guy called Bruce Lawson. He's also an incredible bird watcher, a twitcher they call them, the bird watchers that are real fanatics. Yeah, I had a 6-month sabbatical essentially from the camp that booted me, and then headed back after my suspension, and enjoyed 2.5 years of not oversleeping. I think I did a fairly decent job for them until it was time to move on. Oh, righty then. And yeah, I mean, at the time I was obviously completely shattered, but it all worked out well in the end. Yeah, and Scrappy, I guess all the kind of little things that happened along the way have caused me to end up here, which you are happy about, and so am I. I consider myself very, very fortunate to have been kind of involved with the Safari Live team and operation for the last few years. Marvelous. Well, I'm going to continue on. I'm not too far from Janet Jackson's hole. Hopefully we'll have some luck there, and we're going to send you across to Steve to see how his search, I think for the lions is what his plan is coming along.
Thank you, Scotty. So far, nothing to report. We've come up the road I indicated we would come up, called Nyala Road. We showed you on the map. And we are almost at Buffelshoek Dam. So we're going to have a little scratch around the dam itself. After a big meal of buffalo, it is quite common that you will find a lion going and having a drink. So it's possible that we might find them either around the dam itself, or maybe still at the site of the buffalo. Who knows? The buffalo might have been, I mean, Taylor said their bellies weren't very full last night, but you know, you never know. If there was no wind last night and nothing attracted their attention, they felt quite satisfied, they might be lying exactly where she left them. So we're going to go and have a look. But here comes Buffelshoek Dam in front of us. But it's important to drive quite slowly along these roads so you don't miss the tracks and all the game paths that sort of come to and from the dam across this road. You can quite easily miss lions if you're not paying attention to that. And you don't want to drive over the tracks, because once you do that, it makes it very difficult to follow. keeping our eyes very well peeled. Let's have a quick look at the dam. Ooh, Mac, I would love to show you a martial eagle. I haven't actually seen one here in Juma yet. I know they're around, but I haven't physically identified one. So on the road coming in, there was multitudes of hyena tracks, up and down, up and down. So it's possible that they have moved towards the site of where the lions had that buffalo. We'll go and check and have a look. But seeing as we're at the dam, let's have a quick little hello to the hippos. Morning, chaps. How was your nightly wandering? Lots of tracks around our camp now, these last few days, of hippos moving all the way to and from around our camp. Their tracks are quite easy to see, and the bird you can hear most noticeably just above us at the moment is the red-billed buffalo weaver. Here they are in their communal nests. And we've got the cheekiest little hornbill on the right-hand side of me here, Dave. I don't know if you've seen this guy before. He's very cheeky. And what I'm thinking is, because this is quite a common sort of sundowner spot for the Juma guides, they come here with their guests, and it's possible that this hornbill has learned that people give them food. I don't have any food for him though, and I'm not going to feed him because that's not very good. But he's very relaxed. Christy would like a sunrise shot. It's not quite up yet. We've got a little ways to go until we get to where the last sighting of the lions, where I can see the tracks of the buffalo here moving in that direction, and that over there directly towards the sun where Dave is shining or using the camera right now. Somewhere in there is where the lions were last seen with their buffalo. Okay, so we're going to move on into that area now that we've had a beautiful look at the dam. Maureen, I haven't seen any crocodiles at Buffelshoek Dam. I don't know why there wouldn't be, but a lesson that I was taught years ago is anywhere within 50 kilometers of a crocodile-infested river, any water source, you can expect to find a crocodile. Many people have lost their pet because a crocodile has somehow moved into their swimming pool in houses and cities and villages, should I say, nearby the Kruger National Park. So you never know where you'd find a crocodile. So we are not going to go swimming this morning. First of all, the hippos are there, and second of all, Dave did not bring his swimming costume, so we are not going to be swimming. But let's see if we can get it to a better position for you for that sunrise. Okay, so Maureen, you're in luck. Scotty D has positioned himself perfectly. Let's go to him for your sunrise.
Yes, we have got into a wonderful spot here. There was actually some kudu that we were hoping to show you, but they weren't interested in sticking around. Oh, there goes what was that flew through the frame? I think it was a hornbill. And isn't this magical? I know, Christy, you were hoping for a sunrise shot. Well, there we go. There you have it. Oh, it's actually a starling that's flitzing around that tree. You can actually hear it calling. There we go, it flicked its wings up as it's called. Absolutely magical. I love this time of the day. We're really lucky to be out when we are. And I'm hoping as we sit here and listen to the mainly Cape turtle doves call, we may hear some... there were some birds that flew through the shot perfectly. Magical, magical scenes. Okay, well, let's carry on. We're not too far from the hole of Janet Jackson. So, for those of you who don't know who Janet Jackson is, she is a Janet. And she lives in a small hole in a tree during the day. At night she heads out for feasting. And I spoke about doing a stakeout with her one evening. Still haven't got round to it for, I guess, various reasons. But it is something that I do intend on doing when, I guess, we find the right time to do it, when there's not too much other action around and when we're not searching for any other animals. Because it'll be quite nice to see if she does allow us to follow her as she goes about looking for some snacks. I can see that we are nearby. Racinda, you say how there's no place like Africa for sunrises and sunsets. Quite spoiled here. Said that though, you do get some epic ones, I'm sure, in the Arctic and Antarctic. You must get some really special sunrises and sunsets. Okay, well, there's the hole. Is there anything inside it? Let me use a little flashlight to see if we can see any spots. No sign of anyone in there, sadly. But maybe next time we'll get lucky, or maybe she's moved homes. Hard to be certain. I'm guessing she wouldn't have moved homes. This is quite a lovely spot. Alrighty. Well, we tried, and we're going to continue to try, but just for something else. I'm going to turn around and kind of, like I say, continue working our western boundary. And I'll probably drive along the southern boundary from here, off the western boundary, and just see if there's any tracks or something. Well, it sounds like Taylor would also like to show you her view of the beautiful skies.
Actually, not at all. I want to show you a leopard on the ground slinking through the grass towards a hyena. The only thing though, no, he's not slinking anymore. Seb, let me go around there because there's a couple of Chitwa vehicles. Hey, scaredy guinea fowls up in the tree. Did Hosana chase you up there? It's my favorite when the guinea fowls end up being chased up to the top of the tree. Always hilarious to see that. Where are we going to go? This way around. I don't know which leopard it is. I think it is Hosana. Doesn't look like a particularly big male. I just don't want to get in the way of all the guests as well. Is he chasing a hyena? A little bit, not really. I feel like the hyenas and leopards they have the funny interaction, especially with a young cat. You're going to climb up the tree, Hosana. He's marking up against it. There we go. That's very pretty. Hello, hyena. What were you doing down at the bottom of the tree? What did you find? I know how you all enjoy seeing the hyenas. They are so beautiful and such interesting characters. And sadly, we don't get to spend as much time with them as we do the hyenas in the Mara, as we can't find the den site. Perhaps it's not even on our traverse, like Scott suggested. Thank you. Nice little hyena. And then young Hosana. What's he up to? He just scent marked up against the tree. And now he's on the move. That is definitely Hosana with those very golden eyes. Hello, young boy. Now, for those of you that don't know who Hosana is, he is the son of Kruger, her last offspring before her untimely disappearance. And he's successfully been able to go off on his own, which is quite spectacular, in fact. And now he's scent marking all around Chitwa, which is where his father lives, or his suspected father, anyways. There's Chitwa Lodge and Chitwa Dam in the background, doing his patrols. Beautiful. You can also hear the guinea fowl that are very unhappy. They're all the guinea fowl that aren't here are now up in the trees. Beautiful golden light. Very, very nice. What a great way to start the morning. Do you know that I've seen a cat on every single safari barring, I think, 2 drives since I've been back at work? I think that's pretty good going. In fact, I've been very lucky. Like I said, a seriously warm welcome back into the Sabi sand. Hello. This is not a cat, everybody. This is a dog. Our pet dog. The way that he behaves. Now, he has grown up around lodges and he's seen us walking on foot many, many times. So he has got a different personality to most leopards, which is normally wary of us. And he's got a very playful behavior too, and sort of fitting as his body grows. Every now and then you'll see his legs are longer than his body, or his head looks too big. And that's going to constantly keep happening until he's fully grown, which he's still got a few more years of that to do. But he's got a very dorky look to him too. Just everything that he does, he always looks like he's going to fall over his own feet, which is quite funny. He's not, because he's an incredible leopard. I mean, he's proven it time and time and time again. There we go. Can you imagine sipping on your cappuccino? Hey, from the lodge, eating a home-baked rusk, which is a twice-baked biscuit, watching the leopard roll around in the grass. Pretty amazing. Amazing? Tom, you said that Hosana is such a goofball. That's exactly what he is. He is indeed a goofball. He's our goofball, though, and we love watching him, and we're allowed to make fun of him every now and then. But, of course, we're not being ugly to him. Yes, big boy. Now, there might be some dung, so probably some bird feces, in fact, maybe from the blacksmith lapwings or the Kittlitz plovers. There's been a couple of them around, and well, any other birds, really, that have defecated there, perhaps even the Egyptian geese. And cats are known, and even dogs, to roll in the scent of other animals. They love doing it, in fact. I remember when we lived on a farm, I remember my mom lived on a game reserve for a little bit. She was constantly having to bath our Jack Russell every single day because she always rolled in the rhino dung. She loved a rhino midden. It was her favourite. And so would Hosana. But I don't know what exactly he's masking his scent with today, what his cologne is. Hello, beautiful boy. Lacey, wondering if a male leopard would kill his own cub. You've said you know that they don't help raise them, but then how do they know which cub is theirs? Well, I suppose he's got a territory, and he knows the females, the adult females that are within his territory. And I'm pretty sure, from all the sightings that we've had, or at least since I've been here, it's been pretty amazing to see the interaction between Tingana and Shadow and her little one, and Tingana and Karula and Shongile and Hosana, and I can just go on and on and on. So I think if he traversed out of his territory, or perhaps found a new female that he didn't know, then he might kill his cub. Otherwise, no, there's no reason for him to take on his own offspring. However, again, misplaced aggression. It's a real thing, and you know, something could happen. Say if Tingana was feeding on a kill and for some reason Shadow came in and they all decided they're now feeding on the kill, which again is not too much to ask because that happens often, and say some hyenas came in. What happens if Tingana tried to chase the hyenas away and then came back and was just so upset and so angry and that little cub got in the way? Maybe. But again, that wouldn't be him seeking out that cub again. It's just misplaced aggression. So, and that's definitely a possibility. What a stunning morning. Really, really beautiful. Well, as you can imagine, we're most certainly not going anywhere. We're going to stick with this cat and see what happens. I'm going to send you to Steve, who's at Buffelshoek Dam, to see if those Nkuhumas are anywhere around.
Thanks, Taylor. Well done on finding that magical young prince. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come back to the scene of the crime. And what is very peaceful and serene right now, only moments or hours ago, was a scene of carnage, bloodshed, and death for this poor young buffalo. And apart from a handful of rib bones, there is nothing, absolutely nothing left of what apparently was a buffalo. There's a bit of a jawbone over here. You can see the teeth. Can you? Let me use a stick. Turn that over. Isn't that charming? And apart from the ribs and the teeth, the stomach content or rumen just over on the left. Other than that, there's just blood, and that is it. Tracks of lions, some lion scat. Lions have sort of head off towards the dam, and then hyena tracks are everywhere. So no doubt they came in and cleaned up what the lions left behind, but I don't think there was too much. There's not even a head or a hip or a hoof. Quite incredible. So this is what happens, and this little disturbance that happens here with regards to the lion movement. There's sort of compacted grass, there's dung, there's almost like another hotspot of activity that's happened here just from the death of an animal. Blood and iron and stomach content. If you have a look over here, all of that there is the rumen from the stomach of this young buffalo. So I find it quite amazing how lions can dispatch an animal like that. Carl, they cleaned the plate completely. Nothing left whatsoever. So Taylor's assumption was correct. We had tracks headed towards the dam just as we came in. So we're going to go back, see if they've probably gone to the dam to have a drink, and then from there see if I can pick up on their tracks and see in what direction they may have moved. So bear with us, folks. We're going to head back on out. I always find it amazing when you spend time tracking lions. This is kind of the scenes of carnage that you find, and when you find it, it's very peaceful. I mean, there's birds singing and there's sun coming up behind us. It's a beautiful morning. And you wouldn't think that only hours ago this was an absolute bloodbath over here, and the poor buffalo underneath a marula tree took its last breath. So the stories some of these trees could tell, I reckon, would be super exciting. I know Scott and I were chatting with Nikki. Nikki is in FC. We were talking about how important it would be, or how nice it would be, to have a dam cam at Buffelshoek Dam and possibly some of the other dams. Wonder how many sightings or animals we're missing. Because, I mean, as you know, in the last month, how many leopards or lions have we found because of you diligent people at home that are watching the dam cam? So if we had more than one, I'm sure it would make everybody very happy. But I don't know the channels we have to go through to sort that out. But pretty sure Scott would agree with me that that would be a marvelous idea. Buffelshoek, Treehouse, Twin Dams, having a dam cam at all of those. And then streaming the audio of all of them to everybody's home. Scott would like us to install speakers at camp and then play the dam cam's audio 24/7. I think that would be quite novel and quite awesome. Okay, so while we see if we can make head or tail of these cats and their tracks, let's go to Taylor, who has got the little prince.
Ah, sneaky. Look at this cat. Look at... Sorry, everybody. Are we in slow-mo still?
No, I got out of it.
We're out of it. So we were filming some amazing slow-mo shots, as you can imagine, as he was poised up on here. Isn't that beautiful? The way that he's sitting up on that log. And the golden light. It was pretty spectacular, in fact. A perfect photographic opportunity. Well, for you guys, not for me anymore. I can't believe he went and sat on this. He is such a poser. You know who he's taking after? He's taking after Quarantine. You are still in slow-mo. Hey, Seb? Yeah, you are. Everybody, you are still in slow-mo. Let's just enjoy this, though, because it's quite beautiful. In case you're wondering what's wrong with your screen. Sometimes it is quite nice. Don't you think that's cool? The way he's sort of slinking. Is it normal? It looked like he was in slow-mo when he was on the... sorry, he's going past all the cars. Are you sure? There he is. Sorry, maybe we're not in slow-mo anymore.
No, I think we're fine.
We're fine. Look at that, going through the grass. Also still looking around to see if there's anything here, but there isn't. There actually isn't any herds of impala about. I reckon somebody has given his presence away a long time ago, whether it was the guinea fowl. Pretty much every single guinea fowl was up in a tree. There could have been vervet monkeys or baboons around as well, and they could have quite easily been alarming right through the night. That's something I'll never forget while I was down guiding in the southern Sabi sands, often at Bush Lodge at Sabi. In the middle of the night, you would hear the baboons going ballistic because they'd sit up in all the fig trees that were lining the Msutlu River, or it was a dry riverbed. Only when it poured with rain did it come through, and it was so cool to hear it. And you knew that little bush, or perhaps warthog wallow when she was still around, was moving through and disturbing all of those baboons that were resting up in the trees. It was always quite funny. And then the birds would start making a noise too. It was so cool. So, Hosana, knowing you going through the lodge, you'd probably be doing something like that too. Now, right, where's he going? What's going to be our best way around? I'm trying to also not get in the way of any of the other safari cars, as you can imagine. I think there's a lot of photographic guests out because there's cameras out here that make my lens look like a miniature one. Anna Marie said that Hosana looks lovely as he moves through the grass with all that golden light. Yeah, he is. He's a stunning cat, though. I think we're very lucky. We've got very pretty leopards, don't you think? Hosana's beautiful. Tumba's gorgeous with those blue eyes. I'm a sucker for blue eyes. And on leopards. And what else? Who else is so stunning? Oh, wherever Shongile may be, she was an amazing cat as well. Beautiful. I think Termite Mound. Please, Hosana, Termite Mound is your next. Has to be your next position. I'm trying to help get a spot for Seb now. I want to let the guests also, we don't need to get too close to him because, see that side? Oh no, here he is. Hosana, don't you dare, he's going the other side, Seb.
Oh, no.
Wait, maybe we're trying to figure out. I'm going to keep the car going. No, he's going to go the other side. Shall we go around? I think so. Let's quickly zip around. Oh, lapwings coming on in to chase him away. They're unhappy with him. Oh, there's an impala. But, listen, birds going crazy. Impala knows something's wrong. Let's wait here. Joy, you're wondering if Hosana's trying to establish a territory. I suppose against Hukumuri. Perhaps. I don't know if Hukumuri comes on to Chitwa. Wait. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, so I'm not sure, absolutely not sure if that's the case. I know that the dominant male leopard that's still on Chitwa is Tingana. No, Hosana, don't you sit there, come around. So Tingana is still around here, and I'm sure still actively marking. And Hosana is being a bit cheeky. He's lucky he hasn't been chased away just yet. He's very, very lucky, in fact. You know, the head pops up and a yawn every now and then. Hopefully that means he's still going to be on the go. Come on, boy. If you could just like rest your chin on that little part of the termite mound, that would be amazing. The light is still gorgeous at the moment. But there were a small group of bachelor impalas lurking about. However, I cannot tell you the amount of birds. When you try and just count them, we've got red-billed hornbills, we've got yellow-billed hornbills, we've got fork-tailed drongos, we've got Cape Lossie starlings, we've got blacksmith lapwings, and they were all alarming to the fact that Hosana is here, and everybody will understand what that means. But he didn't look like he was really going on the hunt, did he? He was more interested in marking up his territory and modelling for everybody this morning. He's a bit of a show-off, he's a bit of a modeler. Maybe you can hear some of those birds. And Toby, you actually agreeing with me, saying that Hosana is just posing. And every opportunity he gets, he loves it though. He can't help himself. He really cannot help himself. All I know is that I'm very excited to do some photo editing today. because I got some really cool shots of him on that log, and I hope that you also got some cool screenshots of him too. Remember to share them or add them to your Hosana gallery. It would be quite cool. You know what we should start doing? Maybe for his 3rd birthday, which is next year, February. Or even, I suppose, for Christmas. I don't know, maybe we make a Christmas card. We should put pictures of when the first time we saw them, right through to sort of as he gets older and older, and just see how he changes from a little fluff ball, to all his goofing around. I think it would be quite nice to do something like that, a little collage of how he's grown. But he's just grooming himself now. You can just sort of see a twitch of an ear every now and then. And he's normally immaculate as well. I mean, every now and then we'll see Tamba and Hosana with a little bit of scruffiness, like when Tamba was on the kudu kill. He definitely had some scruffiness around his shoulders and on the back of his neck, which can be difficult spots to reach anyways. Ravinda, you've asked me a question that unfortunately none of us are going to be able to answer, and that is, are there any warthogs underneath that ground? I have no idea. From here, I can't tell you. I can't see if the burrow that is there is active. I can't actually answer any of these questions. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We'll just have to wait out and see. But also, it's quite late now, so I reckon if there were any warthogs, they probably would have got out and already gone to find a nice area to graze in. But other than that, I can't actually tell you anything at all, I'm afraid. Hosana, please come around here, because I know what will happen is we'll reposition and then he'll come down this termite mound. Typical. So Steve is still tracking. I wonder if he has picked up on any footprints of the Nkuhuma Pride. Let's go and have a look.
Thank you very much. The tracks from the scene of the crime headed in a northwesterly direction. I followed them for a little bit. They've kind of skirted on the eastern side of Nkuhumas Dam, heading in a sort of northerly, as I said, western direction. Here is our northern fire break, and then we're going to get to the cut line just after that, which is with Nkuhumas. These are the tracks of the lions that came in from the north. Multitudes of buffalo tracks all around Nkuhumas Dam, and obviously that's one of the individuals that they picked off, that they left there. And we're just going to check the northern boundary. As I said, if they've crossed north, then there's a good chance we won't be able to find them this morning. But if they have not crossed, then they might just be lying up somewhere directly in here, which would be exciting. Which would be very exciting, wouldn't it, Darby? Finding them for the second time this week would definitely be a highlight. Is it this week, or do we find it on the weekend? Anyway, we found them not too long ago. We don't work on days of the week here, Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all the same to us. Okay. So Tex has just been in my ear. He's one of the guides from Juma, Vuitela, and he didn't find any tracks crossing. He's actually just about in front of us here, so he's not going to go back on that firebreak road. I'm going to continue on here quickly. I might actually quickly go and look down this road, which takes us to the dam. This could be very exciting. But there's a good chance that they are just lying up in there. But then I will also, once checking here, I'll double check this road just to make sure we don't spend hours in here when they actually have crossed. So, a beautiful morning it is turning out to be. Very nice light, Faith. Very nice light. Faith is in the FC and she is leaving today. This is her last shift with us down in Juma. She's going back up to the Mara, where she is normally based, to start getting things happening and shaking up there. Not sure if there's any updates, though I don't have any information for you. But it's been wonderful having her down here. She's enjoyed her time, I believe. And she's been very lucky in what she's seen. She's agreeing with me, she really has. And Faith, we're going to miss you. And to Faith's mom out there, a shout out from all of us here at Juma. I know her mom is a regular watcher of the show. So a shout out to Faith and all her hard work, and to your mom who is watching. Okay, so here is the site of a previous buffalo kill. And there's far more bones here. Far more bones here from a previous animal kill. So this was much bigger buffalo. The one that ate probably was a very small and soft individual. Ryan, I've never been to the States. I've been asked many times to come, but I still have not yet gone. So I really don't know too much about the animals in North America. I know a little bit, but I would not pretend to know too much about them. So this is the scene of another crime, but this one is a while ago. The Nkuhumas as well, the responsible party. But very important, these bones that will lie around. There's a number of animals that will feed on bone when they're lacking minerals in their diet. I've even seen giraffe feeding on giraffe bone. Because when they are struggling with the vegetation, there's not as much iron, silica, or magnesium, calcium. Those are things that they can pick up from bones. And you'll find hyenas, obviously they are very prime bone eaters. Porcupine will nibble on a bone, as well as warthog. I've seen kudu do it, and giraffe. I'm not sure what else. But any pregnant woman, pregnant female out here, animal, struggles a little bit with calcium, and so they need to. Excuse me, Tex is on the radio. Standing by. Yeah, I've just come in there. I'm just having a quick look now. He's followed me right in on this track. The same assumption that there might be here. Yeah, I'll give you an update text once I have a little look, but I didn't see anything from the other side. Tracks were headed on my eastern side of me in a northerly direction. Okay, so from bones and dead buffalo, let's go over to Scotty with a feathered friend.
Well, it's just flitzed up to another branch, and quite envious of Steve investigating the crime scene, trying to work out where those lions have gone. We found a crested barbet. I think they're definitely one of my favorite birds. They've got such cool colorations and a bit of a punk rocker look to them. And this guy's just taking it easy, enjoying the morning sunshine, as are we. We've been driving around quite a bit. Not much sign of any tracks. We've nearly checked our whole kind of western boundary. And just some old wild dog tracks. The wild dog have been kind of dodging us. They've been slipping through this portion of our property. We've been having their tracks, but no luck with them, so hopefully they will grace us with their presence sooner rather than later. Lots of hyena tracks about. That's fairly normal though, and hyena do move large distances every night in search of their food as a general rule. Had quite a few tracks actually heading south out of our property, and all of them were running, so there must have been some kind of a commotion or possible kill that they must have stolen from something, or who knows, made for themselves. But there's definitely a lot of hyena that were running out of Juma last night. Not too sure what the attraction was. Ryan, you'd like to know if we ever see any secretary birds here on Juma, and yes, they do occur here, but kind of like the cheetah, they like open plains as a general rule. That's where they like searching for their food, and Juma doesn't have the greatest open plains, so they probably, I think probably when we were traversing a property called Cheetah Plains, I'm guessing you would have seen, probably some of the other viewers will be able to confirm, you probably would have seen a lot more secretary birds as well as cheetah. Cheetah Plains is the name of a camp where we used to have some traverse. So yeah, they do occur here, but geez, I can't remember when last I actually saw one on Juma. We saw lots up in the Mara. That was a perfect ecosystem for them. We had some epic sightings of them. Sadly, none of our sightings ever provided us the gold of a secretary bird killing a snake, which they are very capable of doing. And it was mainly grasshoppers that they were feeding on, but the more time we spend out on safari in areas where they live, the luckier we'll get. Come on, tracks. Give us some hope. Jay Petrol, you'd like to know if there's a kind of a tracking school that guides can go to? Yes, there's multiple schools, kind of guide training schools in South Africa, and the tracking and trailing portion or kind of courses, you can just apply for them and do them. They're usually kind of a month long, the tracking courses, and you can kind of add that to your list of qualifications as you go about your guiding career. And then of course just kind of spending time at any lodge or camp with your tracker, and over the years you kind of just gain skills in tracking. So I haven't done any formal courses or training for quite a while, and I feel it's just kind of my experience and time on foot that has allowed me to get to where I am with tracking. So there's kind of two ways you can go about it: the more formal school or just experience in the field. First lady, you'd like to know if I like to drive or bushwalk, and my answer to that would be, in an ideal world, I would do a morning walk every day and an afternoon drive every evening, cashing in on whatever you may have found on foot in the morning. So that would kind of be the ideal, in my opinion. Of course, it does depend on the area that you're in. You know, I wouldn't want to be doing bushwalks in the Mara. That place is, in my opinion, not a good environment for bushwalking. It's just simply too open, and you can't really creep up on anything. You can see for so far, so it makes more sense to be in a vehicle there. But here, it definitely pays dividends being in on foot. It's often the only way you'll find animals here is by actually getting off your vehicle and tracking them. So yeah, I like a bit of both. And walking in the morning is nice because it's cool, and all of the fresh tracks and signs after the predator's nocturnal movements. It's kind of like a clean slate. So that's why I prefer walking in the morning. Oh, well, there's some wonderful news on Steve's vehicle. No prizes for anyone who guesses what's happened over there. Why don't you go and see for yourselves, though?
Yeah, thanks very much, Scotty. So we drove in on that little two-track to the northern side of the dam, and Taxon actually joined us there. We had a little chat, and then I got off the vehicle to just have a quick little look, and there, lo and behold, lying in the long grass, probably 30 meters, 40 meters from where I was chatting with Tax, we had them all lying down. So they're not far from the dam. They're probably about 100 meters or so from where I left their tracks, just on the other side of the sort of river depression that enters the dam there. And if I'd continued on that, I probably would have found them in about 2 minutes. But we came around, checked the northern boundary. There was no exit point, which is awesome, which means that they ideally are within the block. And here we have them lying down, and look at her, the one with the injury. She has got a super full belly. She made very good work of that buffalo, and it's amazing how that wound has come along. I saw pictures of it from last year. I could not believe at how badly injured she was, and yet she's still doing quite well. But it's because she's in a pride that she's able to deal with it. If she was on her own, I think she might have really struggled to overcome that injury. Oh, she's having a toilet. Good morning, First Lady. You want to know if lions eat or digest the bones? They don't really digest bone. The bone shards that they can break up, they will chew up and swallow, and that will come out in their dung, and that will be evident in some of the lion dung that goes quite white. But they're not able to break a very, very hard bone. And as we saw in that carcass, there's hardly anything left. I'm not sure if the buffalo is just so small that they were able to chew all those bones, or if the hyenas actually picked up the leg bones and whatever else that was left there and removed it. But what you'll often find, because lions eat so quickly and so ravenously and so aggressively in a pride, that you'll often find lion vomit where they have a bit of a fur ball and they cough up, and often you'll find bone and hair and animal hoof in that fur ball because they can't actually digest it. Hyenas can digest most of that, but lions are not able to digest the fur or the hoof. And you often find it in a little bit of a vomit pile. I think Scott showed some of you a fold of skin the other day that was covered in maggots, which was obviously regurgitated from a lion, and that was not very nice to look at, so we'll stop talking about it immediately. Okay, so there's a little bit of interest in them moving here. I'm not sure if what it is that they're moving for, but there's no animals at the dam that we could see, and they're in the shade, so they just can't help themselves. When one moves, they all move. So I'm going to come around to where we were just now and get a nice view of them coming down to the water. It's possible that they've suddenly decided that they are thirsty. So bear with me as we get around and try and get you a nice two-shot. Let you know, these are not the lions that had the white baby. That is from a pride. I only read about it this morning. A place called Impala, which is not far from here, in the Kruger as well. It is a beautiful lodge in the Kruger, and they documented a brand new white lion cub. And I think that I only saw that this morning, so I think it's very, very new. Okay, there's one individual already by the dam, busy having a drink. Let's see if we can get down there. Sorry for the rush. Hold on there, Darby. Marvelous. Lions up and at 'em. Tell me when you're happy, Darby. Okay, there we go. Taxon is in the sighting with us, so if you do hear or see another vehicle, yes, everybody, I'm very excited. Finding them like that is always cool. And just in the long grass, these ears, just see these ears looking at you. I actually walked down to this point of the river and then saw them looking at me 30-40 meters off to the east, having a little look, and I'm glad that I did it before they moved down here to drink. Avon wishes, that's a very interesting question. If a lion dies in a pride, does the rest of the pride eat them or leave them? I've only ever seen or heard of one pride of lions that eats other lions, and that was the what are they called again? The Mapocho, that were renowned in the Sabi sands around Londolozi, Singita. They used to kill lioness and eat them, but I've never seen it in any other lions before. So invariably they leave them, but I know it's not unheard of. And I know there are reports out there. Oh, Dave, I think I've driven in some lion poo. It definitely smells like we are surrounded by lion dung. There's nothing quite like the smell. It's very easy to identify because it smells rancid, and it is all around us. So I apologize, Dave, but for the viewers back home, you're very fortunate that you're not able to smell this. Here comes one of the bigger lionesses. Is this Amber Eyes? I think it is. I'm still learning these lions. I find it quite difficult to identify a female unless there's something obvious about her. Males have characteristics. Just sort of the scratches on the face and different types of mane, different development, different black and brown. Really, really special to be able to be seeing this right now. So the currency of life, ladies and gentlemen, the dams. So you can see how following up and moving around dams is a very good and positive way to find cats. I believe Taylor just popped into Buffelshoek Dam last night, and that's when they spotted one of the lionesses that was drinking, and then followed it back to the scene of the crime. There is the vehicle in the background from Vuyatela Lodge. So their bellies look relatively okay, but there's a good chance that they are going to just find a nice shady spot now and spend the rest of the day right here. Yes, Ryan, they do. They use their tongues like a scoop. It's like a dog. It's almost, if you've ever watched, I'm not sure if it's the same with lions, but I think it is the same as dogs, is that they actually, if you slow it down, I've seen people do slow-mos of dogs drinking in the water, it's actually going in underneath the tongue. I'm not 100% sure if that's the same with lions, but they don't suck it up like we do. You'd think that would be the obvious course, but I think they keep as little of their body in the water as possible. They don't like it very much. Isn't she beautiful? Second time in a week that we've been able to spend some really good time with these lions. So while we stay with these lions, we won't go anywhere. We'll see what they get up to. We'll keep you updated all the time. And while we do that, let's go to Taylor for an update with the Little Prince.
We've got a big prince that's also joined us now. We've got Hosana, of course, on the termite mound, and then just to the left, sort of where his tail is, you might be able to see a grey giant feeding on something, just hiding sort of out of view. It's a young elephant bull. There's his bottom. I wonder what he's found. See if I go back a little bit, will that help or not really?
Yeah.
And watch, as I do this, he's going to take 2 steps forward. There we go. Ta-da! Magic! Very nice to have 2 animals in the same picture, don't you think? I think it's quite stunning, in fact. Now, Hosana is not too bothered by this elephant. This elephant also does not know that Hosana is here. We did at one point wonder if the elephant knew, because he came charging down, but now he's stopped at the Marulas, so perhaps he just got the scent. You know how when we start driving around close to camp, sort of at the time that the safari is going to finish, and we smell bacon and all sorts of other things being cooked, and that scent is lingering in the air. The Hosana's just repositioning now. That's a little bit better for us. Now we can sort of see his face. Hey, big boy, you're not scared of elephants, are you? Better be careful of them, though. Who wouldn't want to get on the bad side of an elephant? He's still looking around. He's in such good condition, Hosana. He's been doing a really good job at constantly just catching meals and staying nice and fit. I've yet to see him all thin. Looking so lovely. And hopefully by this evening he'll catch himself something else to eat as well. I mean, that would be ideal. Something like an Impala. Sure, I just heard a strange noise, but I think it may have been some Egyptian geese flying quite low and the wind whistling through their feathers. That's actually what it could have been. But yes, it is a very stunning scene, this, and it's not every day that you get to see interactions between the big cats and, well, bigger herbivores. Now, here's an interesting question from Scratch Golf. I'll tell you why it's interesting. But basically you want to know, what is Hosana's primary prey items? Well, Scratch Golf, at the age that Hosana is, which is about 2 years old, just over 2 years now, he should be going for things like Impala and Deka and Steenbok, so smaller antelope species, maybe even the odd scrub hare here and there. However, our young Prince Hosana, well, he kind of just goes for whatever he wants to, which includes chasing after herds of buffalo, which is very unusual. It's the first time I've ever seen leopards going after buffalo, never mind a fully grown cat, but Hosana has in fact caught a buffalo calf already. So I feel like Hosana is the exception to the rule when it comes to feeding on animals. He just takes whatever he can get, and he's a little bit on the adventurous side. He's kind of like that young kid that wants to try sushi at 3 years old, or perhaps wants to try teppanyaki, not the traditional things that a young child would feed on. Hosana has got that type of habit as well. If I put my foot on the clutch, Seb, I might get a better view of that eddy again for you. Yeah. Let me do that. Go! Trying to do the shake to roll forward, not working. It may have been too much. Oh. Yeah, a little bit better. No, I think I went forward too much. Seb and I were desperately trying to do the roll, so we can pretend that we have an electric car that doesn't make a sound at all. But that didn't work. I'm so sorry, Faith. Please, can I have that question again? I had the engine rumbling through my earpiece and I didn't quite hear you. Now, Levi/Levi, because it's hard to tell, you were wondering how old is this boy. I think you're one of our newer viewers, which is fantastic, so welcome. I hope that you're enjoying. You've asked, well, you've just said that how old is he? He was born in February, so what is he? He's like, what are we in now? March. So he's 2 years and a month, almost a month old, just over a month old. So he's still very young. But he's a decent-sized cat for only the ripe old age of 2, and he's doing exceptionally well. I'm really excited to see how Hosana's future sort of plays out. I'm hoping that he doesn't go too far and he actually hangs around within this area, which is kind of unlikely if you think about it, because Hukumuri's going to come in, by the looks of it, and chase Tingana out, it's about Tingana's time to start settling down and looking for a place to retire. Perhaps he will go and take over Mvula's territory, because we don't really know where Mvula has gone either. He's just vanished. But Mvula was also moving on with age. Again, lots of pressure from these young boys, from Tamba, from Hosana to Hukumuri, and then Tingana was always there too. So it'll be nice if he just sort of hangs around. Maybe he does. Maybe he gets to have Chitwa all to himself, because quarantine doesn't come onto this section. There potentially could be a spot. Right, before we lose the beautiful visuals with Steve, let's go see the Nkuhumas having a drink.
Thanks, Taylor. So I'm just quickly moving the vehicle. We've got an elephant bull coming in from the right-hand side, and the lions don't quite like the look of him. Now they're parked exactly where I wanted to park, so I apologize. I'm trying to move it so that we can see him and the lions, so please just give me a moment. I don't want to disturb these young cats. There we go. Is that all right, Darby? Oh, isn't that marvelous? You can tell that these 2 young males, or young females, they moved off, even though they're on the other side of the dam from the elephant. They saw him approach and they're like, hang on, Mum's nowhere to be seen, let's rather move back. And they slinked off a few paces and now are watching the elephant quite closely, even though he's on the other side of the dam and no real threat. The reputation of a big bull elephant precedes himself. Marvelous with the hippo and the reflection. All sorts of communication going on with that elephant as he walks down. There's lots of dung of other elephants there. There's a whole breeding herd of buffalo that came through the dam yesterday, and he'd be picking up all sorts of signs of the other animals that have come down. He might even have smelt the lions, because on the dam wall where he came across, the lions came in there last night, and it's very possible that he knows exactly what's going on in the area. Yes, Ellie, fantastic. What a great name, and what a great reflection, as you say. Look at that. Just the hippo to cause the ripple effect. This big male elephant, where he's going to, he's probably got a favorite spot to stand here and drink. Definitely his intention indicates he's coming to drink, but then also he didn't expect to find all of these lions and the smell of death in the air, and I'm pretty sure he'll be able to smell that. And you see that uncertainty in his foot there? He's unsure, but there we go. Now he's going to start drinking. Isn't that marvelous? Trish, the comment that you made there, or the question you made, elephants are not actually afraid of lions and leopards, but when it comes to, sorry Dave, push my brake in here. When it comes to a female with her youngsters, lions are a potential threat to youngsters, and so they will chase them. Any predator out here has got the smell of death on them, and lions will chase them. It's not that they're afraid, it's that they don't want to tolerate them near them. So if they don't show them any sign of sort of dominance, then the lions might start playing games, and that's not something the elephants ever want. Because what has happened in Savuti and parts of Botswana is the lions, they hunt elephant. So the prides have gotten to very, very large number, and they will pick off any smaller, younger sort of male that's isolated from the herd, and they are taking them down now, and they have been for some time. It's been well documented. So it's the smell of death. Elephants are very intelligent animals, so they know for a fact that those lions are potentially dangerous. But a big elephant like that's got no threat against these lions, but they like to chase things regardless. Elephants are the biggest in the bush, and anything gets in between them and the water, and they will chase it, or if anything sneaks around nearby them, be it a kudu or a warthog, it will cause the elephant to chase them away. They don't like surprises. They don't like to be surprised by anything. It's quite common to find anything that's lurking in the long grass to be chased away by the elephants, purely because they can, and often the lions will move. I think Scott was here a month ago or so, exactly here on Buffelshoek Dam, and he had the elephants chasing Amber Eyes, who was mating with one of the Birminghams, and the lions move off very quickly. They know that they can get away from the elephant, but they're not willing to chance getting squashed. These two young females would not risk it at all, not without the support of the pride. Sorry about my head there. You can see their tummies are quite full. Lots of buffalo in there. They're going to go back to the shade to rejoin the pride. And while they do that, we're going to make a mission around to get another view from that side and see if they're going to stay. And while we do that, let's go over to Scotty D, who's found himself a wildebeest.
Yes, we have found a wildebeest. It's been fairly quiet going on the western front of Juma. Not too much going on for the time being, but I thought just to spend some time with this herd, see what they get up to. They just seem to be taking it very easy this morning. They're not moving around a hell of a lot. And I'm not sure if it's our resident herd. Hard to be certain. There's a few youngsters in and amongst them. But they did kind of disappear for a while. I'm not too sure where they went. There were 6 youngsters initially. It'd be nice to do a head count here, but sadly they're in quite thick bush for the time being, so hard to work out exactly what's going on with this herd. There's one youngster in there. Let's head down. I find it remarkable how quickly the youngsters grow. Not just the herbivores, but Tundi's cub as well. Taylor was astounded by how big the the cub was when she saw it. When was it? Was it yesterday morning that she got a glimpse of it, I think? Maybe the day before. So she was quite surprised with that, and it's just impressive how quickly they grow and mature, especially when you compare the rate at which we develop. Sounds like you guys have been having a wonderful time with Steve and the lions. Very happy that they decided to come down and drink. And not just the lions with some elephants, but also the leopard with the leopard. And sadly they haven't been vocalizing yet, although they did vocalize once. They let off one because I hopped out the vehicle to check up on a blue waxbill nest that we parked adjacent to. It's going to be very difficult for us to show it to you because it's in a thick bush. So I don't even think we'll bother trying to do that. But there is a waxbill nest, like I say, just behind me. And I've been keeping tabs on it, just poking my little pork sausage fingers into the hole of the nest. It's kind of a round ball of grass with a small hole in the side of it. And the first time I came past here, there was 3 eggs in the hole. And the second time I came here, there was only 1 egg in the nest. So I'm not too sure what happened to 2 of them. And now when I came back, there was 3 eggs in the nest again. So I guess the mother may manage to lay 2 more eggs in there, which is really cool. And Senzo thinks he's got a bit of an angle in here. It's in a buffalo thorn. They like making their nests in buffalo thorn trees. Oh, there's the little bit waxbill. Hello, you cutie. And that is one of the 2 birds responsible for the little nest below, and it's got a beautiful, beautiful baby blue coloration. Scratch, you would like to know about the birds and whether they all migrate or not. I would say there's probably 100 or so birds that... Oh, do the wildebeest migrate? Not the birds. Sorry, Scratch. I'm clearly still half asleep this morning. The wildebeest here, no, they don't really migrate. There's kind of seasonal movements, but nothing quite as elaborate as the migration up in East Africa. So yeah, we don't know of any major movements, but I mean, it would be interesting to know. I'm sure there are some herds in the Greater Kruger National Park that spans about 300 kilometers north to south that do move fairly big distances. Yeah, it'll be interesting to know how much they move, but I don't think we can call it really a migration. Wonderful. Well, all seems calm and peaceful here. I think we're going to continue on. I was hoping by stopping and staying here for a couple of minutes we'd maybe hear some alarm calls, but no audio to help us narrow down the search for any of the predators. Rabinda, you've mentioned that the blue waxbill was the first bird that you kind of took note of on Safari Live, the first bird you saw, and what a great bird to open your checklist with. It's one of my favorite birds, the little blue waxbill. Up in East Africa, you get, they call them cordon bleus up there, and some of them have got a little red dot on their cheek. William, you say the blue waxbill was number 7 on your bird list, and what are you up to now, William? And what bird can I try and find you this morning to add to your list? Is there one that's been dodging you? It's always useful to let us know. We used to, I don't know whatever happened to Mike in Florida. If you're still out there, give us a shout. He was a real enthusiast when it came to the bird watching, and he would often ask for us to try and find certain birds. I remember trying to get the grey-hooded kingfisher for him on multiple occasions. I don't think I ever managed to get it, but there have been quite a few sightings of them this year, or recently, since I've been back. some hyena tracks coming down the road there. I just wanted to make sure that that is in fact what they were. Christian, you'd like to know, when will the monotonous larks return? And it's a good question. I don't have a clue where they could be or where they've been hiding. Maybe it was that we were seeing them in a different area of traverse. We've had multiple areas of traverse over the years, kind of adjacent to Juma. It hasn't always just been Juma and Chitwa. So maybe it was because they occurred on a different kind of area of traverse nearby to us that we saw them there. I don't really remember seeing many of them in my time here. Yeah, so not too sure. All right, well, it sounds like Taylor is still with Hosana. I wonder if he's still snoozing up on that termite mound.
Yep, he is indeed still snoozing. So we're probably not going to stay here for too much longer. We will carry on with our morning and see what else we can find. It is starting to warm up quite nicely. As I say, that I should probably take some winter clothing items off, like the scarf. That was very unnecessary. Well, it's unnecessary now. And you can see he's just trying to get a nice comfortable position. He'll eventually move. He'll eventually go and find a better shady spot because, well, the sort of ridge of the termite mound is not going to conceal the sun from him forever as it gets higher and higher into the sky. Maybe he will go up one of the marulas. Oh, there's lots of sausage trees around here. There's jackalberries. There's actually plenty of trees that cast a nice shadow for him to lay underneath, although I don't know if I'd be wanting to lay underneath a marula tree at this time of the year with all the elephants that often come down to Chitwa Dam. And that's what we're waiting for at the moment, is we're just waiting to see if there are any big herds of ellies on their way down for a morning drink. Yesterday we were spoiled. We just had herd after herd after herd. It's like they let open the floodgates of elephants and they all came down and had a drink. This time we've got a leopard on the termite mound right by the dam, which is quite cool too. Chitwa is a very, very, very productive piece of property. There's that other elephant picking up the marulas, just as we were talking about him. First Lady, another question that I can't answer. You're stumping me today. You said, is Hosana on Nkuhumas termite mound? I don't know which is Nkuhumas termite mound. I also didn't know that he had one that was his favorite. Unfortunately, I feel like they don't necessarily have a favorite termite mound. They just use them as vantage points, except I suppose Hosana's using it like a bit of both today. He's using it as a vantage point because he can scan all the way around, and then he can also, well, have a little snooze and get a bit of shade. That's what he's using it for mainly, although he seems to be staring at something in the far distance. Or maybe he's doing one of those stares, you know, when you're just so tired you can't keep your eyes open anymore, your head just sort of drops and you're looking in the direction of something, but you're not really looking at anything. That could also be the case. Although those ears don't seem to be too pricked. I mean, they're facing in that direction. Maybe he's listening. Maybe the herd of elephants is on their way down. Maybe there's branches breaking. But of course, it's all the unknown for us, and he's got much, much better hearing and eyesight than we can. So he would pick up on these subtle signs way before we do. One of my favorite things to do actually when I was guiding was when you'd find an animal, or we can even do it now, and someone was responding to a sighting, and they would say they'd often call in on what road they were on. So you'd have an idea on how long it would sort of take that other guy to get into the sighting. And you'd wait for the lion or the leopard to twitch its ear, and then you knew, or sit up and look, and you knew that there was a car coming. And sometimes you'd sit there quietly, tell your guests, can you hear anything? Not hearing a rumbling of an engine, a vehicle driving over a stick or crushing through leaves, nothing, absolutely nothing. And then 3 or 4 minutes later, a vehicle arrives. It was pretty spectacular. And so you sort of see how far away or how much time before you that the cats could pick up on on a vehicle approaching, or actually maybe not even wasn't the vehicle. Perhaps it would be like the guests talking in the cars, and that's what they were intrigued by. You beautiful boy, you. Please tell us what your plans are, Hosana. Let us know. Now, Ryan, you're wondering if the methods of killing prey for lions and leopards are the same. I suppose similar, except for the fact that leopards really need to get much closer to their prey than a lion does. Lion will sort of chase a little bit, but not very far. They can only go a couple hundred meters and they're exhausted. The other thing is that you don't see lions racing up the trunk of a tree and bouncing from branch to branch, especially if you're a young leopard and you're going after something like a monkey or a squirrel. You won't see a lion doing that, but leopards are able to do that, so that's where it slightly varies. However, cats pretty much have the same method. They'll get low down in the grass or hide behind bits of vegetation and creep as close as they can before they try and pounce. So a leopard ideally needs to be between 10 and 20 meters away from its prey. A lion ideally the same. However, like I said, they can be maybe 30 or 40 meters away and they'll race. And because lions hunt in a pride, of course there's another difference. Leopards are hunting on their own. Lions will hunt in a family group. Not always. Sometimes you get a male lion hunting by himself or one lioness hunting on her own too. But they do have a better chance of catching something when you're in a group. You can position one another. You can basically plan your attack. And that's what lions will do, is they'll communicate with one another. Might have some sneaking all the way around, hiding in the distance, just waiting. One lion will pop itself up and basically just go, oh, here I am in the middle of a buffalo herd, cause a stampede or wildebeest or whatever the prey may be, and then they'll catch one like that too. So there's many different types of techniques. Okay, Seb, we're out. This cat is flat, yeah. Bye-bye, Hosana. Thank you very much. Have a nice snooze. Hopefully he'll be here for this afternoon. That'll be nice. Now, where are the elephants? I need elephants in my life. I want that one to come down and have a drink. But Steve, of course, is still with the lions. Glad he managed to find them this morning. Well done. Let's go see if they are having a snooze themselves.
Thanks, Taylor. Yeah, the whole pride seemingly has gotten up and walked the 25 odd yards or meters to exactly where it is that I was standing when I saw them. And now they're all lying down in the nice sort of on the sand. So I'm not sure what the difference is from where they were lying as opposed to where they are now lying, but at least now they have come out of the thickets, because after their little drink they went back in there and all you could see was tawny bottoms. There was nothing else to be seen. And here comes the little youngster directly towards its mother that's lying on the ground there. Let's see if it has some space for some milk. It's got quite a fat tummy, but it's going to go straight for the nipple. There we go. Hello, Mum. Let's just have a listen to that if we can. Just turn the... You can hear it. Isn't that just so gorgeous? So still very reliant on Mum's milk, this youngster, but definitely got to feed. The diet probably at the moment would probably be about 80% milk, 20, maybe 25% meat. Yes, cuteness overload indeed. And so marvelous that it came out and lay down right in front of us. And then the cub came over, because this all could have been happening in the thickets over there and we wouldn't have been able to see anything. So thank you, Nkuhumas, for being so accommodating and so willing to show our viewers how you are and what you're doing. feel the heat of the day is slowly starting to descend on us. It's going to be a very warm afternoon. Jamie, I only count 10 at the moment, but there's a couple more I think still lying up in the thickets there. There should be 12. There were male lions calling. Apparently, I heard one of the landowners from Buffelshoek just now on the radio said there was huge amounts of lion roaring happening sort of north of Nkuhuma Dam, and he was investigating that. There were apparently 3 sub-adult males in and around that area the last few days. Let's have a look. Here comes another individual at the back, which makes 11. It's probably the 12th one somewhere there. So here this female comes. Watch her. What's she gonna do? She's gonna walk straight to this other lioness, probably give her a little bit of a rub on the head, or is she just gonna lie flat? Gonna find her own little spot. Gonna rub someone's head, indeed. There we go. Very important for them to keep up their allo grooming, their allo mimetic behavior, their bonding. They are a unit. Although when you see them feeding, there's a lot of aggression towards each other. Afterwards, they quickly make up, kiss and make up, and they do that through grooming each other's faces, rubbing, licking, touching. All very important for lions. Tactile communication. Very, very important. Touch. Raffaele, I made you night. I made my morning. Second time this week we've managed to find these guys on foot. There's something very, very special about that. And they didn't even make a sound, eh? Which is why you have to be very alert out here to the presence of lions. All you will see is an ear or two in the long grass as it looks at you and tries to wonder, is that edible or not? So, Dave, if this lioness turns back again, I wonder if you can get her eyes. It's quite interesting to see how their pupils change, and now to look at, if she looks back again, have a look at the pupils. They are completely little pin pricks in the eye. That is one of the advantages or mechanisms. Okay, the 12th lioness is on the 12th animal is on its way in from the back, but those pin pricks and that ability for the lion to change the dilation of their pupil is what allows them to see so well at night. Those of you who were on safari with me last week when we had Hosana, and we were looking at him with the IR, you could see that his entire eye was filled with his pupil. Whereas now, if she graces us with another little eye there, look at that, just a pinprick. It allows them to control that light coming in. It is very small. Yes, and then at night they can dilate their pupils completely and they're able to see in the pitch blackness. Hello Trish, you'd like to know how long cubs will nurse for? Normally 6 months they're quite solid on the milk, and then after 6 months they start getting a little bit more meat. But up to the first 8 months to about a year, a cub will try and nurse. Sometimes the lioness will allow it to nurse up until that stage. Sometimes it will stop it. But it's also about the amount of meat that is in the diet. That starts to increase after 6 months. And then by about 8 months, they're pretty much fully weaned, feeding on meat. But sometimes they'll take the chance to get milk. And if it's not stimulated, then the milking will stop. But it also depends on the competition. When a lioness has got more than one cub, I think she produces more milk because they're competing for it. Watch, there's going to be a body slam now. Is there? Ooh. Just being friendly. Everybody's a pillow in the lion world. Absolutely beautiful. We're just going to wipe the lens, get a bit of dust off there. Catbag wants to know if a lioness in the pride gets jealous when the other one's mating. I've never seen it. I mean, I've never seen jealousy in lions. It's hard to really put that human sort of behavior, or what's the word, attribute to lions. I've never seen that kind of behavior in them. But I did see the Nkuhumas earlier this year when they were playing with a couple of tortoises, and there was definitely some jealousy amongst them between who was going to play with the tortoise and who wasn't. But that was in the youngsters. But generally in a pride, when the females are mating, they end up getting isolated from the pride for a few days while that mating is happening, because they're not feeding. The rest of the pride is feeding, and so they're on the move. And after the mating, which lasts 3 to 4 days, they'll often rejoin the pride again. They're very hungry. Unless they hunt on their own, they often get back to the pride, who will assist them to hunt again. But I don't think so. But what often happens is females will come into estrus at the same time. So they will mate at similar times. Okay, so folks, we're going to, I'm asking you, but I think we can come back here. Apparently there's been a leopard spotted just around the corner. These lions are not going anywhere. We can always come back and see them, but let's maybe see if we can go find ourselves a leopard. I'm going to take that as a yes for everybody, and all of those of you who say no, don't worry, we will come back if you say no. But if we find the leopard, we can always come back anyway. Okay, so sorry guys. Okay, so let me just find out exactly. Last station, I'm coming from Nkuhumas Dam. I'd like to follow up. What's the best approach? Okay, so we're going to go over to Scott while we try and follow up on this leopard and get one communication at a time in my ear, and then we'll go to Scott and then come back to us and see what excitement unfolds.
Well, there's some exciting news. Steve hasn't been listening to the Game Drive radio, so I'll update you quickly what's happened. Rex and one of the guys found Tundi and her cub. She was to the east of our eastern boundary in an area where we can't go, but she's just popped out onto the boundary, and it looks like she's heading onto Juma. And Texan was actually another guide on his way to that sighting, and he bumped into another leopard, also a female, who's apparently quite skittish. And Steve might actually be able to get a view of that nervous female leopard on his way to going to Tundi and the cub, because it's quite close to, it will be on the same route as he heads away from those lions. It was kind of seen heading towards Pan. So really interesting stuff going on. Another female leopard seems to be lurking about. And she was apparently a little bit nervous, which really isn't good prospects, because we'd prefer to not have a nervous leopard occupying any of our turf, because they can just be like ghosts, keeping away other leopard who may allow us to actually look at them. Although, having said that, maybe we'll be able to spend time working on her and trying to get her habituated, but it's always tricky, especially if that animal doesn't spend her entire time on our property. It means we'll only have small windows of opportunity to habituate them, which can be a nightmare. Anyway, good news about Tundi and the youngster, as well as the fact that I guess there's a new leopard around. That's exciting. And I'm just concerned by the fact that she's nervous. Scott, you'd like to know what is my favorite time of year in the bush? Well, in this here bush that we are in now, I like the winter months, specifically kind of the end of winter going into the summer. So kind of September, October would be my favorite 2 months. August, September, October would probably be my favorite time of the year here. I like the vegetation when it's all dry and crispy. I like the fact that it's a lot easier to track and spend time on foot in the drier months. But yeah, I mean, it all depends on the wilderness area you're in. Up in Kenya, it's fairly kind of constant. There's not huge changes between the winter and the summer. Being on the equator there, you tend to find fairly consistent conditions throughout the year. So yeah, less of a concern up there. Winter's also nice here because we don't have any rain to contend with. Not that this summer has provided us with too much difficulty, because it hasn't rained nearly as much as it ordinarily would or should. But a proper rainy season here can make our lives a little bit tricky. Zena, you'd like to know if there's any news on Shadow? And no, I mean, I asked you guys if you guys had heard anything. Hello? Still there? I doubt it. Maybe. Ah! No worries, you are still there. Sorry, not too sure what happened there. It seemed like the power on the camera may have misbehaved and switched itself off, or plug fallen out. So no, sadly no updates on Shadow and her daughter. I haven't heard anything for quite some time now, and I was just discussing the other day that it would be nice to know what's happened to them. It might just be that they've kind of moved into a different area now that the Hukumuri male's come onto the scene. It seems like he occupies a lot of her turf, and because she does have that daughter that could be killed by him, she's old, but not, I don't think, old enough. So yeah, maybe she's kind of moved off, or maybe she has run into some more serious trouble. I mean, it's been weeks now since we've seen or heard of her, and we also haven't seen any sign of her in the area where she was last kind of seen spending time on Juma, in the kind of southwestern portions. When I arrived here in December, she was around quite a lot, and I'd say since probably mid-January, we've seen very little or no sign of her, nor heard anything about her movements. Cruising about the dam, not too much else is happening. Elise, you'd like us to try and find you a wattled starling. I can try. I haven't seen any for a while. And they kind of often like to spend time around herds of animals. Like a herd of buffalo would be a good place to have a flock of wattled starlings. But yes, if we see any around, I'll be sure to get them on the camera. But they're a bird that I don't think there's not a specific area that we can head into in order to find her. To find them. It's not like they're area specific like the lapwings or these geese that we can find in and around the waterholes very often. Oh, looks like a takeoff's imminent. What's going on with your balance, Goose? It seems like you're not very comfortable there, or at least you weren't, but I guess it was just when you were turning around. What are you planning? It's also been kind of jiggling its wings like that, up and down. Looks like it's getting ready for something. Come on, take off for us. What would be nice is if it took off from there and came and landed down in the water. I love it when geese or ducks land on the water, sliding their webbed feet along as they go. Come on. James, you'd like to know if the blue waxpool nest that I checked in on earlier, and the new eggs could possibly be from a parasitic bird. They could. I can't remember what birds parasitize the blue wax spills. Oh, there we go. Well done, Sens. Where are you going to land? In the water? No. On the ground. Seems like there might be some kind of a dispute over this pond. There's usually only just one pair at a pond this small. You can hear and see that there seems to be some kind of an attack going on here. Here goes. The waddle attack. Nothing more ferocious than an Egyptian goose waddling after you and squawking as it goes. So yeah, James, I'm not too sure. I mean, that could be the case. The eggs, I didn't look at them. I just felt them. I mean, often the eggs won't be exactly the same size. They'll be similar sizes to their host's eggs, but they all seem kind of the same size. So yeah, I wonder what went on. I also wonder what ate those eggs initially. I guess, a parasitic bird won't necessarily fling extra eggs out of the nest. I guess they sometimes might just flick one out and put theirs in spot. So it's not just the leopards that are going through a territorial dispute here in Juma, it's also the Egyptian geese.